Now that I'm working and I have insurance again as of January 1st, thanks to my husband Don, we've both been contemplating GLP-1s for weight loss. But I'm not exactly convinced that it's right for me. There are some side effects that scare me, and I don't feel we truly know enough about these drugs to know the long-term health effects. And even though my gynecologist suggested GLP-1s to me back in October, I'm uneasy about going on them. When I was in my teens, I was a string bean. I weighed less than 100 pounds all throughout high school. I was an active kid. I played outside, I roller skated, I rode my bike, I walked. I went to team dance clubs with my girlfriends in St. Petersburg and Pinellas Park, where we all danced to alternative music such as New Order, Depeche Mode, and Neitzer Ebb. And this was the mid 1980s and early 1990s. So computers weren't common in households yet, and cell phones were still several years away from being commonplace. So being a teen in those years meant that you could actually call your friends up on a rotary dial or a push button phone. Ours was by the kitchen. And you made plans. You wrote down directions on a scrap piece of paper and came back home before your curfew, usually. Hi, I'm Nikki. Welcome to La Paz Bound. So meals were different back then too. And the only delivery service that I recall at the time was pizza, like places like Pizza Hut and Domino's. There was no Uber, there was no Uber Eats or other food delivery services that are so common now. And going out to eat, well, that was a special occasion. It was for like a birthday, a graduation, family coming into town. My mom cooked most of our meals and had dinner ready for us when my stepdad came home from work. We had meatloaf or chicken with homemade mashed potatoes or rice and a vegetable. That was the typical meals at my house. My mom scratch made most of our dinners and desserts. And she made our clothes too. So brownies were huge in our house, and they still are. And we had ice water, not soda, with our meals. It wasn't until I was in high school when I started drinking sodas, and we rarely had soda in the house. I started working when I was 16 years old at the local drugstore, and it was less than a mile from where our house was. So I walked to and from work. And I wasn't into sports in my teens, but I was a cheerleader in middle school. I focused more on academics in school, and I probably had your typical American teenager metabolism where I could eat anything and not gain weight. And since I didn't have a car until I was 17, I relied on my mom, my neighbors, my friends to get around. And eating burgers and fries at fast food restaurants, that was usually reserved for the weekends when I was hanging out with my friends. By the time I was in my mid 30s, my weight had crept up to 150 pounds. I got involved at my local gym, and I really liked my Les Mills spinning and body combat classes. It was a lot of fun. I also started reducing my starches and eating mostly protein. I was newly divorced and started dating Don. And we worked together and decided to join a weight loss challenge at work. And we were neck and neck in the competition. And we ended up coming in first and second with enough prize money to go on a trip together to my favorite US city, which is Chicago. Don and I moved in together in 2007 in another part of Tampa that wasn't exactly the safest to walk at night. It was also far from my gym, and being newly in love, we focused more on our happiness together rather than on continuing with our weight loss journey. So over the years and several moves within and outside of Florida, we settled into our routines. We were getting older, our bodies were changing. What was working for us in our 30s and 40s to lose weight, it just wasn't working for us in our 50s and 60s. And then COVID hit. And in 2021, I got an electric bike. We both did. And I was riding 10 miles on the weekends and riding at night or early mornings. But the lack of places to go where we currently live, it made riding my bike rather dull, and I just lost interest. I also used to walk our two dogs, Cookie and Pico. Cookie passed in 2023 and Pico is getting older and he's a pug, so he can't handle the heat and the long walks. And neither can I for that matter. I also changed jobs in 2022 and I worked exclusively from home. I no longer have an office to go to. I no longer have to walk from a parking garage to the office or walk very far to get food. Couple that with menopause, Florida being hotter than it was in the past, and changing things in our lifestyle where we don't go out like we used to in an effort to save money and pay off the remaining $17,000 that I owe on credit card debt, and for Dawn to retire soon. It meant the weight continued to come on. Plus, if you've seen my YouTube shorts, then you know that I love to cook and eat. I love trying new recipes, making content about food. I don't want to stop doing that. I realize that I can shift my focus to healthier foods, and it's probably something that I'll do in 2026. But keep in mind that I'm Southern and I've been cooking this way for over 30 years. So cooking healthier food, it isn't as easy for me as the tried and true recipes that I've been making for years. But that needs to change or it will keep going down a path of additional weight gain and health problems. I also don't have the drive like I used to run around town for hours at a time on errands. And although my vertigo is not as frequent as it was just a few months back, I'm still cautious about driving anywhere further than a 10 to 15 mile radius. So a few months back, when I gave up my evening wine and weekend margaritas as well as caffeine, I saw absolutely no effect in weight loss. Menopause is kicking my butt, and the efforts that I would take to lose weight in my 30s and 40s that used to work, just not working anymore. And because that's the case, it makes me question why I would want to put so much effort into any physical activity when results just won't look like they used to. Now, I know about the internal benefits of decreasing my blood pressure and improving my cardiovascular functions, but it's still kind of depressing to not see any changes on the outside. So that leads me to GLP-1s. Now, I haven't checked to see if our insurance would cover it. Seeing the list price of Ozempic is around $1,000 or more a month, even if insurance could help cover the cost, I'm still probably looking at 20% of that each month, or around $200 every month. So cost is definitely a factor. Side effects are another big reason why I am hesitant of going on GLP-1s. I don't want to crap my pants, or worse, end up in the hospital because I'm writhing in pain from bowel obstruction. Gastrointestinal issues like constipation, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach pain, and cramping, no thank you. I don't want to go to there. My stomach isn't happy with me when eating salads for lunch some days. Long-term effects, that is probably my biggest concern with going on GLP-1s. We're talking about a drug to help with type 2 diabetes that was FDA approved in 2017 for diabetes. That's not even 10 years. Clinical trial information only extends out to 4 years. GLP-1s were only approved for weight loss 3 years ago. 3 years. Please don't misconstrue what I'm trying to convey in this video. I know that GLP-1s are lifesavers for those with type 2 diabetes and for those that can't lose weight with conventional methods. I am just sharing with you why I'm hesitant to start a drug that I feel will have some negative repercussions down the road for those that take it for weight loss. So cost, side effects, lack of long-term data, those are a few reasons why I am hesitant to start GLP-1s to reduce my weight. But then there's other issues too. So according to Medical News Today, Ozempic can lead to dehydration and cause kidney issues. Now, I can't afford to have kidney issues. Kidney stones run in my family and have damaged my kidneys. My right kidney, it only functions at 29%. And I'm almost 54 years old. I'm entering a higher risk phase for osteoporosis. And with less estrogen, the bone loss is going to happen faster. Taking GLP-1 drugs, such as Ozempic for weight loss, it could increase my osteoporosis risk. A 2023 review of clinical trials showed approximately 30 to 40% of weight loss on GLP-1 drugs may come from lean mass, which includes muscle and bone. The surge in GLP-1 use for weight loss, it's been huge over the last 2 to 3 years. Doesn't it feel like everybody is on it? And I feel like some have taken it way too far. They look skeletal. An article in the New York Times came out a couple of months ago about influencer Katie Sturino. She's the one that pushed more brands to make bigger sizes. So she would go into dressing rooms and she would try on the largest sizes of clothing that she could find from a brand. And she would expose them and make them realize that full figure gals like me want to be included in the brand's size demographic. She would call out brands who weren't size inclusive with the hashtag #MakeMySize. As the New York Times stated, she was a mega viral body acceptance advocate. Katie also founded Mega Babe, which is an anti-chafing thigh stick that I have that actually works. Whenever I wear skirts, I make sure to apply it. In one of my previous videos, I mentioned that one of the brands that I like and I own a lot of pants from, which is Vince, they're no longer size inclusive. The New York Times article mentioned that body positive influencers are shrinking, as is Katie Sturino. She's on GLP-1s too. So before I go down the road of taking GLP-1s for weight loss, I need to become a lot more comfortable with statistics and facts. I need to do more research, as this is a drug that you take for life. I think I would rather give the tried and true method of adjusting my portion sizes and working out another go before going on GLP-1s. I think for my age, I should switch to weights rather than cardio like I did in my youth. I'm not ready for rapid muscle loss, the Ozempic face, the cost, the bowel issues. I'm just not ready for that just yet. Comment below if GLP-1s have been working for you with weight loss and what your experience has been like. I read all of your comments and I appreciate you taking the time to write them. I also appreciate you helping me reach my goal in 2025 with 1,000 subscribers. That means the world to me, as I really enjoy making content for you. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this content, please consider subscribing to my channel so I can continue to bring you more content. Until next time, hasta luego, my friends.